Episode 7 and Day 5 of our Outback Adventure takes us from Longreach through to Winton. Day 5 already saw us going from Longreach to Captain Starlight's Lookout. Now we continue the adventure from Longreach all the way up to Winton to the Australian Age of Dinosaurs. So mixing it up with a bit of dirt from our last episode, we now hit the blacktop and head to Winton, 90 million years into the past, for a lesson in the area's natural history. From there, it's a quick stop in Winton for fuel, and then we head straight back for our last night in Longreach. Well, Starlight's Lookout. Woohoo! So, picking up where we left off from our Day 5 adventure, it's time to press play on the next stage. As we make our way north out of Longreach, black kites are a common sight, and you often find them feeding on roadkill. And I soon find myself passing Leander, 40,000 acre property where I spent some time helping some farmers who have been there for generations. That oasis in the outback that was run by the Clark family will be forever in my heart and in my thoughts. Just imagine trying to run a farm out here in these conditions. That letterbox could be a prop straight out of Star Wars. George Lucas might want his droid back. It's certainly a wide brown land out here, dry and lonely. And just to add to the loneliness of this vast landscape, a single diesel locomotive is travelling alongside us. The size of the trucks out here never fail to impress. Then all of a sudden, out in the middle of nowhere, we come across some roadworks. I guess the roads out here have to be maintained too. There's no flies on this guy. Very soon, we literally see signs that we're getting closer to our destination. And they're in the shape of dinosaurs. What it is, 23 km. Alright. Oh, it's close. No, I'm only joking. These wire rope barriers always give me the shivers. Great for cars and trucks, but when you're on a motorcycle, if you came off, I reckon they'd cut you in half. And you'll notice there's plenty of tar snakes to help you on your way. And on a hot day like today, you'll need to keep your wits about you. The plateau that we are approaching is known as a jump up. And it's basically made of solid rock which has resisted erosion over 98 million years, back in the age of the dinosaurs. I've got to say, after hours and hours of straight road, I'm really enjoying these corners. But just be careful of how loose they are on the edges. The small lapse of concentration sees Paul miss the corner altogether. Here's the view from his bike. Let's see what happened from his perspective. So, was it just a case of lack of concentration or target fixation? Or maybe he's just checking out the view. The view from the top of the jump up is quite spectacular. And so are these corners. There's such a breath of fresh air. And speaking of air, it must be pushing 40 degrees today at least, and that is enough to make you a little dehydrated and to sap your concentration levels. But we're nearly there. As we arrive at our destination, we find it packed full of caravans. It's obviously a popular destination for holidaymakers. And so now it's time to find a parking spot, and preferably somewhere safe. Hopefully our bikes are in good view so they don't get ripped off. Or something maybe. Oh yeah, there's probably a good spot actually where you were. Boy oh boy.
We got a helicopter, mate.
It's a 40-degree day, and the first thing you notice is the heat coming off the tarmac. You could fry an egg on it. Maybe even a dinosaur egg. Now let's go and check this place out. When you first arrive at the reception centre, you're met with a formidable figure of an Australoventor known as Banjo. This fantastic location for this natural history museum brings together many fossils from this region and around the country. From there, it's only a short walk to the laboratory and waiting room, where the fossils are kept and worked on. And if I was one of these old folk, I'd be feeling a little cautious. The fossils that are waiting to be worked on are preserved in plaster. The tour through the lab gives you a good idea of where the fossils are found and the natural history of the area 90 million years ago. And as you can see from these fossils, 95 million years ago, Winton was actually a coastal wetland with an inland sea and lush tropical rainforest. A stark contrast of how it looks today. The fossils that you'll see on display are named after the people that discovered them. During the tour, technicians are painstakingly exposing the fossils for the world to see. We then head back to the collection room to view the results and take a history lesson that's 95 million years old, starting with Banjo, who's the most complete theropod dinosaur known in Australia, and many other fossils like this sauropod. Following this presentation, it's a short ride over to Dinosaur Canyon Outpost, where during your guided tour you'll hear up-to-date information relating to Australian natural history, including the biodiversity of the jump up and the formation of the landscape and the incredible dinosaurs that roamed this land 95 million years ago. The attention to detail on these exhibits are amazing. Each one is interactive and tells a story. Like this recreated dinosaur stampede, the largest one ever found. Being located on the jump up, this museum really is an outstanding location, and it's almost like Australia's own Jurassic Park. As we leave Australia's Age of Dinosaurs behind it's time to head to Winton to grab some fuel for our trip back to Longreach. And maybe even a little fuel for ourselves. The view we get as we're descending down the jump up is something spectacular. And it's quite a contrast to what we're used to seeing back home. As we're coming down the jump up, it gives you a good perspective of how flat the surrounding landscape actually is. So as we're enjoying this view on the descent, on our way to Winton for fuel, it should be noted that Winton is not only the dinosaur capital of Australia, but also the birthplace of Qantas and Waltzing Matilda. Winton lies 177 kilometres northwest of Longreach and will be the furthest north that we'll go on this trip. Well, it's one straight road back to Longreach, and I tell you what, I'm really enjoying riding in the shadow of this cloud after being in the sun for hours. And there's always something interesting to see along the way that captures your attention. Whether it be roadside art or the local wildlife. But I think the thing that has captured my attention the most is that big blue sky. And it seems even bigger out here. As the sun sets in the west, the shadows grow longer, and it almost looks like my GS has had a modification that some four-wheel drive enthusiasts would definitely envy. Now seems like a good time to put the feet up, set the cruise control and enjoy the view. But not for too long though, because this time of the afternoon there's plenty of kangaroos about, furry speed bumps. And as we cross the Thompson River, we are now not far from Longreach. The capital of Outback Queensland. As we roll into town, it's time to put the nose bag on and get something to eat. And we both fancy some Chinese takeaway for dinner.
Did you see a Chinese restaurant down here? Or?
It's just a matter of finding one.
Happy Valley Chinese restaurant.
Happy Valley, where's that one?
45 Eagle Street. What street's this?
And after a long day's ride, Chinese takeaway is going to go down real well.
There it is. Yeah, alright.
Stay tuned to day 6 of our Queensland Outback Adventure when we head from Longreach to Betoota. On our way we pass through Stonehenge, that's Australia's own Stonehenge, and we find some brumbies just outside of Junda. It's then a run through to Windora where we say goodbye to Paul, and I head out on my own, solo that is, out to Patuta, with plenty of stops along the way to check out the ever-changing scenery. It's really starting to feel like the Outback now. Then my final stop of the day is the iconic Patuta pub. And it's everything an Outback pub should be and more. And just wait till you see those sunsets. Stay tuned to check it out with us next time. And thanks for watching.